Hello, everybody. Super good morning to everyone. How's everybody doing, man? Right, so hopefully everybody is doing nice, healthy, steady, and everything. And this is Kevin Chan, 7:30 in the morning as usual, and we are going back into looking at the 100 QiMen stem structure. Right, so today we are going to look at the Geng and Gui combination, right? So to take a look at, what does this combination generally drive in terms of meaning. I can see Pak Pui joined in early. Guanbun is around. How are you doing? Eclipse is there. Rini is around. Hello, how's you guys all doing? Right, hopefully everybody is doing fine. On the news front, nothing new is happening, right? So nothing much new is happening other than, again, same place, same thing. Hello Chang, how are you guys all doing? Right, so of course, we are moving to the month of the rabbit already, right? So how's you guys all doing? Hopefully everybody is heavily into the execution side of your this year's resolution, whatever that you guys need to do, because this is the end of the first quarter. Fast off, right? Just blink of an eye. January, February gone already. Right now we're into March. Right, so let's take a look at what are the stuff that we can do, and add into your database of study into QiMen. Right, so we're gonna add another formation in. Hello Sabrina, how are you doing? Morning to you as well. Right, usual, shrink myself down to the smaller version and let's take a look at it. Right, so as usual, this is a session that talk about formation. Right, so now once you understand each component, when we talk about each component in militaristic, what we call a term, right? It is, you understand the archer, you understand the foot soldier, you understand the cavalry, right? So you understand all this, which is called individual component. Then when you put them together, it become a formation. Right, so because formation usually is much more effective than single soldier. So same thing, so when you are studying QiMen that time, right, so there is this thing called door, there's this thing called stars, there's this thing called deities, and there's this thing called stem, right? So the 100 formation, 100 structure is basically the formation of the heaven plate and also the earth plate stem put together, right? So that's basically one of it. How do you see, right? So of course, if you put different components together, they may have different naming convention, right? So that we have another session that talk about formation itself, right? So it's as such, right? So as such that we are actually trying to learn all of these combination together and what is the general effect. Then we are able to take a look at what is the battlefield, and aka we call forecast what is the situation. Right, so let's come in and quickly take a look at this. As usual, getting in touch with me, Telegram will be good. So for those of you who are looking for a consult, you want me to come and audit your house feng shui, right? So you can go to Telegram and give me a PM. Right, so for those of you who still love reading, yeah, right, so please go to the Substack there. You can sign up for a subscription. Anything that I publish inside this, we will basically be published into the Substack. And of course, there's a community channel. You want to chit chat with the rest of the practitioner, don't know which level you're in, or you're just new, right? So you got certain thing that you want to ask other practitioner, how did they handle the particular situation. Please go to the community channel and do some posting, right? So don't be shy of the situation, right? So then of course, these are all the 100 formation. So there's possibly 10 different stem that you can go into your heaven plate, and also 10 different stem that you can go into your earth plate. And when they form together, this is the 100 separate formation that you can basically get. So of course, if you take a look at it, there is actually only 81 because the Jia is hidden. So usually we skip the Jia. Right, but okay, there is this, right? So if you want to find the classical text, this one is pretty easy to find on the internet. It's just that interpreting it is a bit challenging because of lack of wording. All right, so let's go in and take a look first, right? So this is the formation. So you got the Geng in the heaven stem, and you got the Gui inside the earth stem. Right, so of course, both of these, if you study QiMen, right? So study QiMen, of course, for the very beginning, we like to separate the 10 stem into 5 good guy and 5 bad guy, right? So that's what we say, but there's actually no good guy, no bad guy. It is, you know, you want to take a look at is that they function in a different manner. Certain functionality, it is not what we call mainstream to acceptable, right? So then, you know, you label them as bad. In actual sense, they are not really bad, okay, right? So the good guys, of course, you got the Jia, which is what we call the emperor. Then you got the Yi, Bing, Ting, and Wu, right? So these 5 fella is basically the good guy. Then the rest of them, you call it the bad guy lah, which is Ji, Geng, Xing, Ren, and Kui, right? So right now you got the 2 of the not really that good stem coming together, right? So you can see that the Geng, right? So now from a elemental point of view, you can always take a look at everything from different point of view. From their specific meaning point of view, you can, you know, have one viewpoint. Then you can also view them from a what we call just elemental point of view. Now, elemental point of view, the Geng metal always will produce the Kui. Right, so this one means that the Geng is supporting the Kui, right? So the Geng is creating. So if Geng is a troublemaker, right, the troublemaker right now is creating a lot of psychological issues. So the Kui is actually in charge of what we call psychological issue, right? So it's in charge of you want to say propaganda level of distress. It's basically done with Kui. So Kui is you just imagine watching the ghost movie. Okay, you got everybody watch ghost movie before, right? So the ghost movie, usually the most scariest part of the ghost movie is exactly when there's no ghost. When there's no ghost on screen, you know, then they give you the, you know, scary music, right? So this and that, you know, you see the fella, you know, running. I don't know why always ghost story, they always run upstairs. The door is downstairs, you know, you can get out of the house pretty easily, but no, everybody want to run upstairs. Absolutely no idea why, you know, as it's upstairs got exit. It's during that particular phase whereby you don't see anything and you are scaring yourself, you know, that is the psychological thing that's happening with Kui water. So Kui water is associated with this sort of propaganda, right? So or there is a one incident in the Three Kingdom, you know, is same in Chogo, right? So it's the Chu song on foresight. So this is where they attack, right? So they attack the thing, right? So they don't want to surrender. They don't want to surrender. So what the enemy do is that the enemy position on all the 4 sides of the city, and then they start singing the song of the Chu, right? So the people inside there, you know, basically become right? So lost their morale to fight. Right, it's those are situations, right? So you can see that Geng create this sort of situation. So it's like external problem, right? External problem that's happening, problem that's basically arising. It creates a lot of fear inside of you. So it is a situation whereby you feel very alone, very vulnerable, right? Don't know who to fight. Like the enemy is outside, but you cannot see the enemy. Right? Can they say homo joy? You know, it's very helpless. The situation is super helpless. So of course, you know, if you take a look at this, then it is not really very auspicious, right? So, you know, at least from the QiMen point of view, right? So from the QiMen point of view, is, you know, very, very inauspicious. So because the stem actually represent people. In the QiMen world, the stem represent people. The door represent action. The star represent environment. The deity represent intent. Right, so, you know, so the stem represent people. So a lot of times also they said that stem represent outcome, because the outcome need to be driven by people. There will be zero outcome if the entire thing got no people inside. Makes sense, you know? Right? If there's no people inside, there's not going to be any action. You know, if there's no people inside, the environment is, you know, of no consequence. If there's no people there, intent also of no use. So people is very important. So the stem represent the people. Right, so if you are dealing with, when you are reading, if the stem is no good, which it directly tell you that you are dealing with party that is no good. So if you are not dealing with another party, for certain activity, you're not actually dealing with another party, which means that you're dealing with yourself, then you are no good. Huh? Got like that one? Yes. right? So the QiMen plate doesn't actually point finger. Right? It depends on your circumstance that you are analyzing. So that's why a lot of time it's very important to understand the circumstance that you're analyzing. QiMen actually doesn't give you any answer. It gives you the environmental assessment, right? Give you the assessment of the entire thing that is happening. Then with whatever that is around you, then you need to make a conclusion over what is happening. So as long as you're dealing with the stem is rather inauspicious, so no. So if it's inauspicious, you're dealing with a third party, really dealing with a third party. Your question is really questioning about, you know, this particular thingy that's with the third party. So you know that you are right now dealing with somebody who is, you know, not really that good lah, just put it in a way, right? So come, let's go in and take a look at what does the classical text say, right? So this is the classical text again, right? This classical text you can find on the internet, right? So internet, you can just go and Google, or I have tried using AI, not very stable. AI give you literal translation, which sometimes is very scary, right? So sometimes very scary. AI give you literal translation, right? So yeah, you know, they just take the word and they interpret the word like the word is actual, the meaning is supposed to be. So whatever is behind the word, you know, whatever is, you know, they try to, it doesn't really work, right? So just be careful of that, right? So if everything written there is very literal, then no problem. Right, so to understand this, basically no problem, right? So for like for this one, you know, so now for this particular text, the first sentence is always the name of the structure, right? So so like you can see that this one is called Tai Bak Chong Ying, right? So Tai Bak Chong Ying mean that Tai Bak is the Great White. Great White is the Geng, by the way. Great White is the other name for the Geng, nickname for the Geng, or you want to say that, you know, is the title for the Geng. Right, so you know, whatever it is they want to call it, call sign, whatever it is, right? So it's called Tai Bak, right? So Tai Bak Ying Chong Ying, so is Tai Bak clash and also punish, or why Tai Bak clash and punish? Then you need to start to understand right now is what are the series or what are hidden inside the Geng, right? So what is hidden basically inside the Geng? So this is basically the yin, right? So because Kui is Jia Yin, right? Jia Yin is hiding inside Kui, and then the Jia Shen is hiding inside the Geng, right? So that's why these two is a clash, right? So yin and Geng is a clash, so that's why there is a clash there. And then it is also part of the what we call punishment, right? So yin si shen, right? So it's, those are part of the punishment itself, right? So that's why it is called Tai Bak. Great White in a clash and also in a punishment formation, right? So then Yao Ming is, you know, it is also named as Daiko, big structure. So hence the English name, right, is called Great White Tai Bak, big structure. Right, now this has absolutely no meaning. Just tell you first, naming convention, normal time, it's got no particular meaning. So a lot of people like to say, you know, why it's called, you know, it's like Great White big structure. They try to analyze big structure. So the structure is very big. The AI actually would do that. I'll just tell you first. The AI would basically tells you that's the situation, right? So then they try to analyze the word Great White. Okay, right? So if the AI doesn't know that Great White represent Geng, then they really go and give you the description of a white shark, right? The, you know, what you call the Great White Shark, right? Ferocious, you know, ferocious, hunting you in a big place. Shit lor, die lor. If that is the what we call the explanation that you're going to give to people, then God bless. Okay, right? So try not to, right? Try not to, right? So right. So then it tell you Ji Si Ba Yi mean that, you know, do whatever also no good, right? So do whatever also is not smooth, right? So already tell you is not good, right? So but here's the thing, they don't specifically tell you what right? They don't just basically tell you, right? So right, so 偷猫反海, so which means that if you have any scheme, you have any plan, you got anything that you want to do, right, it will turn into inauspicious. So which means that if you're scheming against people, right? So now then when you see that, oh, all right, so if there is, you know, do whatever no good, you know, this is right? So if you already know that somebody is gonna be planning certain things on you, wouldn't using this particular structure against the other party would be very good? Think about it. So if this particular structure gonna screw every single thing up, and you know that the other party is making a move, specifically selecting this particular, so there is let's say that there's a meeting, right? So this one is requires strategic thinking, right? So that's why I say that nothing is basically 100% cannot use one, right? So right? So then the other party is asking you for a meeting, right? So you want to basically screw up the entire meeting, right? So because this one is advantageous to the host. Host mean that the guy who is not doing anything, whereas the other one is the guest, which is the attacker, right? So this one is advantage to the host, right? So whatever structure, there's always one party that's advantageous, all right? So no, this one is advantage to host, as in very obviously is the heaven stems producing the what we call earth stem. So the earth stem is the general benefiter, right? So you just sit around, do nothing, the fella come and attack you, everything backfire, everything screw up, which is good, man. It also tells you that if you are looking at this particular situation, let's say that you are analyzing a particular situation, you find that this particular stem is inactive. So it's telling you that at this current moment, don't do anything, just leave it alone, because whoever does the execution is gonna screw up anyway. So you just allow the other party to screw up, right? Sometimes you need to do right? So now you can see that the rest of it is basically telling you things get damaged, right? So right, so not very good, right? So a lot of things like bankruptcy basically happening, right? So yeah, right, it just basically tell you no good lah. Right, so pretty simple, right? Now, so there are no specificity telling you what are the actual incident, right? So that's why you need to do a bit of analyzing on the situation, whether this one apply to that particular situation, right? So how does it apply to the situation? As in different situation, the result changes, right? Different situation, the result changes, right? So again, there are certain circumstances whereby this happen is actually an advantage to you, right? So the challenge, of course, is that you have big enough of a database, life experience, personal perspective to basically see this. If you are somebody who's gonna do some application, if you are just dabbling in this for the fun of it, pretty simple, no good, don't do. Easy, no good, don't do. But there are certain circumstances where you really want to put the other party into a ditch. You go and find this sort of formation, right? So if you find this sort of formation, then you really get the other party into the things, right? Like you want to pull somebody down together, lam jia cai sei, hug and die together, right? For some reason, you got nothing to lose, the fella get a lot of things to lose, right? So you purposely select this sort of date to perform an execution so that you hug the guy and die together, jump the cliff together. Your loss is bigger than my loss. Right? So why do I select this today? This is what is happening on the other side of the world right now. Yeah, one party gain to have a lot of things to lose, the other party got nothing to lose. Yeah, right. So basically one party really got nothing to lose. They just fly cheap drone all over your neighboring country, which is everybody that has been financing the other side, right? So right now all the financial facility, whatever it is, all gone. The entire piece of land, I tell you, from now onward, nobody would dare to put in anything important there. Yeah, right. The development in the particular is basically is going to go standstill, because why? It's unsafe. You put data center there, you're gonna get kablooey. You put financial center there, kablooey. You put whatever center there, kablooey. Anything you put there is very easy get kablooey by people. You still dare to go there, no? You still dare to invest there? You still dare to stay there? Right, can see right? So that's basically the situation. Okay, right, so come, let's get to it. So this one is a bit more modernized, what we call reading, right? So so again, limited to a person's point of view of the world, limited to a person's perspective, right? So if you're seen by somebody who is even much more higher in terms of execution, they may see the entire thing in a different manner, right? So which means that they may actually see more usage for this, right? So if you're junior, then the usage is no for everything, right? So that's why I said that there's a yin and also the shen, right? So which is the tiger and also the what we call monkey. So again, the Geng basically is is hidden with the monkey, and then the Gui is where the tiger is, right? So this one, when you put together, there's a clash. Right? So you say, have to remember this thing one. Yes, if you are studying it, for serious purpose, then you have to go and remember. It's not too difficult to remember, right? So half of it is parts of thing, right? So there is major movement, right? So inside there, right? So things that is basically happening inside, right? So from the outside cannot see, but inside is there, right? So relationship is partner cannot stay with you because relationship is a Geng ma. So Geng is moving ma, right? Geng is producing Gui, right? So moving Gui mean that the fella is like drifting or wandering, right? So the guy is like wandering, right? So you see, you have to have this sort of imagination, then only you can give this sort of interpretation, right? So so it's like the fella is wandering. So when the fella is wandering, that time it's not suitable for. So if you are asking for a relationship and then you see that this is the structure for the Geng, that this particular person very difficult to hold down. But if you are the type of person who is looking for exactly this type of relationship, whereby you see him happy together, don't see him is completely fine, then okay lor. Then no problem, right? So if you are exactly looking for this sort of relationship, then it's completely okay, right? So if you take a look at it in this particular situation, if you're the guy who is basically asking, so you'll be looking at the girl, you won't be looking at yourself, then it's not a problem. Right, so if you're the guy, right, so then you're looking at this. So if you're a girl looking at the guy, then you have consideration whether this sort of personality or situation is okay for you or not. So this guy may come, then may go, then may come, then may go. So you are also the type of person who is not looking for a very structure of firm relationship, right? So I know you're also very busy. You also not the type that want to fix down on a place, you want to go around, whatever it is, right? So if that sort of relation you want, then this is good, right? So if you understand what sort of relationship profile that you're looking at, not the general societal assigned relationship profile, right? So you're more modern, you know exactly what sort of profile you want, then is the layers of analysis that you are able to put in will become better. Right, so it makes sense, right? So that's why I said that a person's database and the perspective that a person has gone through life experience change the reading a lot, right? So if you're reading with somebody who is very confined, right? Unfortunately, too many of the what we call expert, their world is very confined. They're expert because their world confined, right? So sometimes the result that they give you, is like they're going to tell you this relationship no good. Why no good? No good lor. So if it's job, then require a lot of travel. So again, right, require a lot of travel. In the olden day, they don't like the situation whereby you need to move, right? So they don't like the nomadic experience. Nomadic experience means that you move, right? So they don't like the nomadic experience. But if you are young, you're vibrant, right? So it is the beginning of your what we call your career. Being given you the opportunity to go from one country to one country, one place to one place is actually a good right? While you are young. Right, so that's why in this one in the again in the olden day you are being sent to the border. So it's not a good thing to be sent to the border in the olden day. So basically you are being abandoned, right? So 送去邊疆嗰度守城, right? So in the Cantonese, right? So or in the Hong Kong is 守水塘. Hong Kong last time if you're a police officer and you are not very obedient, right? So they send you to this particular place called 水塘, right? So it's a very that's where the reservoir is, right? So it's a very lonely place, nobody is there, it's nothing. So of course right now it's different, right? So can you see time also changed the place, but it's those type of situation, whereby you are being exiled, right? Exile, right? So again, now if you're young, you're vibrant, you're those type of person who has very good what we call independence, right? So being exiled is good because why? Nobody bother about you, you don't need to listen to HQ. HQ basically forget about you. Then you go there, you do your thing, you go travel, you learn the world, which is good, right? So if you are looking for this sort of opportunity, right? So now you take a look at the job. Let's say that you are asking a job related question, then you see that the result box is this formation. So if your expectation is that, oh, good, all right, I can go there, then, you know, nobody bother about me, you know, it's, you know, then, you know, I can do my stuff, right? So, you know, if let's say that, you know, you're looking for a job whereby there are steady pay coming in, you know, pay coming in, then no one disturb you, then you go and do your moonlighting, you know, you're something else that you're doing, right? So you're basically traveling around, no one can be tracking you. This is perfect job. This is perfect circumstance, right? Can see, but for the general purpose of most of the population, they want to be stable, they want to be recognized by people, you know, they want to be respected, you know, they want people to, you know, whatever it is, right? But for some people, they don't need this sort of stuff, right? So like, for example, if you're a monk that is supposed to go and do, you know, what we call get new members. So this is good, right? So this is good, right? So you get, you know, to travel around. So health, right? So health, that specifically is because the text say that, you know, mother baby cannot survive. Specifically, the text basically say, right? So, you know, because this Geng and Gui water represent losing blood. It represent rapid losing of blood. So if rapid losing of blood, then, you know, in terms of baby side, is basically a miscarriage, right? So then, no, right? So major bleeding, major loss of blood. So if you are doing a health related reading, right? So then this one is called a major losing of blood law, right? So then, you know, so the problem with health reading is that you may not actually have the capability of stopping what is happening, right? So, and for you to find out that, okay, you know, there's a major loss of blood, so how? So what are you going to do about it? Nothing, cannot do much, right? So, you know, if you're a doctor performing a diagnostic and then this particular person seems to be going pale, but doesn't seems to see that there is anything on this particular person, then this may tells you that there may be internal rupture inside somewhere is flooding. Yeah, right? So, you know, like for example, what do you call that? The brain stroke, right? So the brain basically is bleeding, you know, flooding, cannot see anything, right? So from outside cannot see anything, but you can see that the fella is, you know, then you know, so you take a look at it, you know, it's Geng and Gui. So you know that there may be a major bleeding somewhere, and you take a look at it, then you may conclude that a stroke has happened, and then the brain is basically right now drowning in blood, right? Then what can you do? Unless you're a doctor, you know, you got a doctor also, you need to have the money, and then, you know, noting, then you can relieve the what we call the brain, right? So even after releasing the brain, it doesn't mean that the brain can function. I just tell you first. The scary part about, you know, brain being flooded is even if you relieve everything, it may not go back to the normal state, right? So some of the brain cell that has been drowned may be completely dead, disconnected, and, you know, the fella may be forever what we call paralyzed. So depend, right? So now go in and take a look, right? So how does it look like? It look like this. It look like this, right? So a Geng and a Gui, right? So pretty simple, not very difficult to identify. So of course the challenge is what sort of reading are you doing, right? So what sort of reading are you doing? Now let's go in and take a look. So of course, as usual, you know, it is basically this particular hour, right? So you can click on the now button, right? So then you will change to the current hour. So you can see that, you know, the chart that I show you is basically the current hour chart, right? So for this particular session, as much as I can possible, you know, because right now the entire chart is empty, so very easy. Any day that I want to do, just pick the hour to take a look, right? So like depending what are you actually reading, like for right now, you can take a look at it, right? So basically whatever that you are reading right now in this particular hour, is the result is pretty bad. Right, so you do not want to do anything significant in this particular hour until the next switch of hour, which is 9 o'clock. So right now you can see this, right? So like for example, if you no, just take a look at the particular situation, right? So let's say that you are doing a relationship reading, right? So relationship reading, so you know that it is a Geng and also Yi wood, right? So then you identify where the Geng is, right? So no, the Geng is basically, you know, on the northwest, right? And then the Yi wood is basically on the northeast. So you can see that the Yi right now is producing the Geng. So you know that is the Yi that is chasing after the Geng. Right? And also happen that, you know, the harmony is producing the Geng. So in this situation, you know that the Geng is in an advantageous zone. Right? Relationship is, you know, producing the Geng, and then the Yi Wood is producing the Geng. So if you are the guy asking about relationship, this is good. Right? The girl, Song Xiang Mun. Right? You don't really have to do anything. Right? So although you can see that the Yi is together with the Ping, you know, the fella may have a boyfriend right now, but you know, if you go in, you know, she's ready to come to you. So you know, whether you want to come or don't want to come on in, right? So whether you want to allow, don't want to allow. But if you take a look at it, you are not a very good candidate. Okay, right? So you know, if you take a look at this particular thing, you know, with destruction Phoenix, you know, this fella is a fella who has what we call aggression emotional issue, right? So if the delusion door is hiding, right? Tell me about the monkey sign. What do you want to tell about the monkey sign? Right. SW dragon, right? Swag dragon, right? So I don't understand what it tell you about the monkey sign. Right, so if you want to forecast for the monkey, it is in the subset, right? So subset, you can go and read the forecast on the monkey. On all 4 pillars also are written already. So go and read it in the subset. Right, so back in this one now, right? So if that is the, you know, whatever that you are reading right now. So if you're the guy, good luck. If you're the girl, right? So if you're the girl, then, you know, you might want to be careful a bit, right? So, you know, the guy is quality not too good. But, you know, if you're okay with somebody who is always angry, right? But the fella can hide the anger very well, right? So this one, the problem is probably domestic violence. Go home only you get whacked, right? So like, you know, our favorite country, you know, they just passed a law that say that, you know, it is legal to beat the wife as long as no bone breakage. If you're okay with this sort of stuff, then, you know, this guy is good. Start to understand, no? So at least this guy is you know, most of the time traveling around, not home. So again, don't know what is your perspective in life, right? So, you know, go ahead and find out about it, right? So, you know, again, you know, software being software, you know, you can actually go for strategic execution, right? So, and then, you know, supposed to log in and everything. Yeah. Okay, never mind, let's log in first. Right, so this one, then you can go and specifically find out, right? So up there you want to be Geng, then down there you want to be Qi, right? So please specify date. You never specify date, then no result. Okay, come let's take a look. So now all also is now you know all the date whereby this particular formation is there, right? So you can see that in the software, it is basically called big structure, right? So which means that here you can find a QiMen structure, right? So let's say that you do not want to use this, so let us remove this. Right, so software make everything very easy, right? So you can go QiMen structure here, you can go and look for big structure. They restrict super dragon phoenix force. Where the hell is the big structure? Punishment phase. Don't have, but should have one. Wind Dun Jia flying star. Okay, never mind. Next time I find first. Should be here one. Right, 5 phase, noble star proper. Probably don't have. He punish Geng punish moon star great day restrict moon restrict super Qi Ling Qi Her dragon escape tangle. Should be here now. Big structure. So see big structure, right? Big structure, then, you know, we can extend it a bit, you know. Don't want this one, we go next month, April. So we go, right? So yeah, a day next month. So we go 1st of April until 30th of April. Then we go search big structure. And then you got all the big structure, right? All the big structure basically come up. Right, so with software, it's actually very easy to do application. So once you understand what you're looking for, and by the way, come go, there's only a few structure that you will be looking for. Like things like big structure, this one where you would not pay an attention, because why? chances of you really needing to use this particular structure against someone else is very, very low, unless you are at a very high level in terms of things that you need to execute. Right? So if not normal circumstances, you will not go and find this sort of stuff to use. Right? So you cannot be purposely digging hole for people to step in. Right. It's a very different world. All right, so right? So not very difficult. So this is for you guys today, the Geng and also Gui formation. Right, so at least add a bit of an understanding into the great world of QiMen. Right, so that's it, guys, for today, and I'll see you guys again when I see you guys again tomorrow. See you all. Bye.